You are tuned into the Miriam Makwanda Show.
Welcome back. You are listening to the Miriam Makwanda Show on Slow Media, and we are also live on Facebook. It is a time for our book review, and today we are reviewing the book Lola's Heart by a 26-year-old Zimbabwean-born writer, human rights lawyer, blogger, and mother living and working in Johannesburg, Busisekile Khumalo. She's joining me on the other side to talk about Lola's Heart. Hi, Busisekile.
Can you hear me? Okay. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. And you?
Great, thanks. I mean, it's been a while since we last spoke. How have you been?
I've been good. Sorry, can I clean my mic a bit? It seems hazy.
All right. All right. Well, Busi takes Busi.
So the sequel is Oyama's story, but because Oyama and Lola are sisters, but yet their stories are different, and I decided to rather break their stories into two so that each of them have their own story.
All right. Now, who is Lola and what is her story?
Okay, so Lola Levin is she's a spoiled princess, really. She's the daughter of a billionaire, so she's an heiress. She's a loving person. She's the kind of person who grew up in a loving environment, and she grew up seeing her family, her parents in love. But she's an orphan, but she never felt that space because her uncle actually brought her up in such a way that she never felt the absence of her father or her mother. And so she's always looked up. She's the kind of person who loves love, the romantic. She's soft, she's mushy, she's, everything that is flowers, rainbows, and unicorns. That's Lola. She's kind-hearted, she's gentle, she's loving, but she's unlucky in love, unfortunately. So that's Lola.
So, since she's unlucky in love, does she ever find love in the story?
She does, but she has to kiss a few frogs before she actually finds the true prince. But the thing is, she finds that the love that she was looking for is actually, it doesn't really exist. The love that she wants is the love that she has. And so for her, it's more of a spiritual journey of her finding herself and finding that love at times is not what we peg it out to be. It's not, it's not always sunshine, rainbows. It's not always going out to the movies and, the romantic kind of love. So she ends up finding that kind of love.
And sometimes you need to find yourself first, find yourself and find God before you can find someone else, because then it's like a piece of the puzzle that just all falls into place once you have found yourself. And we see that this is what happens with Lola, but don't give us too much details about that. Tell us about some of the issues that are addressed in this book.
Okay, so some of the issues, the major issue is spirituality, what it means to be a spiritual, because so it's religion versus spirituality, because a lot of us mistake religion for spirituality. You can be a religious person but still be spiritually inept, So one of the issues is spirituality. And one of the frogs that Lola kisses is actually a priest. Is this person who has a high standing in society. He's religiously upright, but then what he does behind the closed doors, behind what everyone else sees, is despicable, and it almost cost Lola her life. So then it plays in what is spirituality, what is religion, what it turns out to be, and the other issues which are the the guilt, the guilt of the wealthy, in as much as poor people usually view the wealthy from a point of view where we think their lives are their lives are in order and everything is there, but they actually have some guilt, whereby I have everything, but I'm not really, I feel guilty for having everything while some other people don't have. And yeah, those are some of the issues which are there. And of course, love, the many intricacies of love, and then also have pedophilia, sodomy, and a lot of other small themes. But those are the major themes that I've just, yeah.
Mhm. And how common are these issues in our society?
They are a lot more common than we want them to be, especially with religion. I feel like religion is sort of like politics. A lot of us are guided by our religion, our lifestyle, our choices, and we sort of exalt these priests or those, those spiritual, spiritual figures, and we sort of make them our gods, instead of actually knowing or finding that God lives and resides within each one of us. We all have God in us, but then because I think we need something to look up to, but we end up and those people actually misuse that. They misuse that power they have over people, especially in Africa. I feel like religion and spirituality is something we really need to have open and frank conversations about, to say, yes, we might be different, we might have different denominations, we might have different religious affiliations, but where are we spiritually? And a lot of that is wrong with Africa actually boils down to spirituality, if you really look down like through it all. Yeah.
And we're all just waiting for miracles to happen. And if somebody comes and say, I can perform this miracle, and they're like, okay, I'm going to believe in you because you can do this. And that's where we start idolizing a person instead of following tenets of a religion to build that spirituality. Are there any challenges that you faced with this book?
I think most of the challenges is at times getting into that space whereby you become there are some scenes which are difficult to write in the book, especially when Lola almost loses her life, not once but twice, and there's that the court trial, because there are a lot of women actually who are going through what she went through, whereby when you come out and say so and so raped me, or if it's something of a sexual manner, in the sense that with Lola she wasn't crying rape, but then she was assaulted after, because the person was trying to hide that they had sexual relations. And instead of being believed, she was tried by the media, she was persecuted actually before the court case actually happened. And then the system also failed her, because the person he was found guilty, but he was just given a slap on the wrist. And this is a common thing, especially with a lot of women with rape, when people come out and say, I was raped, especially by well-known figures or well-liked figures. Most of the times, if a woman comes out and says, I was raped by so-and-so, like, well, why didn't you? Or maybe you came onto him, or maybe because that person is well-liked, because that person has this persona that they portray to everyone else, and so no one is willing to believe you. And fortunately, Lola had a great system, but a lot more women actually don't have that great support system, because you find that, especially if you come out and say, this pastor raped me, or it's that thing whereby even your family can ostracize you, or your whole, support system can just go up in flames like that. So that was hard to write, but I think it's
Mm.
necessary.
It's necessary. These conversations need to be had, and women should feel courageous enough to share their stories with the rest of the world without feeling ostracized that people are going to look at me a certain way, people are going to shun me, people are going to say these things about me. We should feel courageous enough to say that this happened to me and this was the person who did that to me, even though he might be a respected person in public, but you do not know what he's like behind closed doors. A lot of people put on a mask and walk around, with a smile on their faces, and many of the times they aren't even kind to their own family members at home, yet they can be kind to people in public. So these conversations need to be had. How has Lola's Heart been received by your fans?
So a lot of my readers wanted to kill me at at some point, because there was a point when her life was literally hanging by threads, and because I once wrote it on Facebook and she died in that version, so they think that, so I changed my mind also. So a lot of people were angry at me, because I think you fall in love with the character and you don't want the character to die. You want her to have a happily ever after. But then I just wanted to show that it's not always the case. At times, the people we love, a lot of people, like all the women we lost to femicide, they had people who loved them. They had families, they had friends who adored them, but then they still didn't make it out alive. So, in as much as we all want the happily ever after, our reality is actually way different. So they wanted to kill me because of that, but generally they love the story. Yeah.
All right, so that is awesome. And thank you for that as well. Thank you for not making a typical happy ever after like we always see in fairy tales, because I mean, it's time to evolve now. It's time to do things differently instead of always having she finds a prince and they ride off on a white horse to their happily ever after. Let's discuss real issues and have real different endings instead of the typical fairy tale that we grew up with. I mean, it's nice. It gives you a nice perspective and it makes one look forward to their life. But in reality, death is promised to all of us. We don't know about our happy endings, but death is something that we all have to face sooner or later.
Yeah, we're all going to die, and it's a scary thought, because we all have different thoughts about what happens after death, or so that's where the spirituality comes in. But death is inevitable, as you said, but it's a difficult topic for us to have. What happens when you die? What happens when someone you love dies at the hands of someone else? What happens? So you're right, we need to have these conversations. We can't keep shying away from them. We have to have them. Yeah.
All right, so since we are in level 2 of lockdown, how can people get the book?
Okay, so the book is available in all those major stores you see up there. Exclusive books, CNA, bargain books. I heard that Scoops closed. Unfortunately, you can also find them in Breach Books. Take a Lot online. You can find them if you don't want to go out. You can find them online and Take a Lot. Uppercase also has them online, and Protea Books also has them. Yeah, you can find them even from me. You can just inbox me and let me know. I courier them as well. So yeah, so it's this book.
Awesome. And well, seems like you've changed the artwork on the book. Tell us about that, the new art.
Oh yes. So this is Lola. and she's meditating. So throughout the story, she had trouble actually reaching a place where she can fully immerse herself. Like she had that wandering spirit whereby she would start thinking about something else or start worrying about something, and she couldn't really reach that point of what can I call it, calmness, whereby she's in the zen or she's in that moment. So this is Lola when she's actually one with herself, one with her heart, and then she finds all that she's looking for. Because at times we spend so much time looking for things from outwardly, but then all that we're looking for is inside. The love we look for outside is inside. The God we seek in churches is inside. Everything is within us. So this is Lola and her heart. Yeah.
All right. And lastly, why should our listeners and viewers get this book?
Because it's a good book, and it's also being featured in this year's South African Book Fair, and I'll be going on a panel discussing it. So if you want to be part of this year's South African discussions, you have to have the book so that you enjoy the discussions even more, because you have an understanding. And also because it's I feel like if you are in a journey, if you're going through a journey of finding yourself and questioning yourself, Lola asks those questions as well. She's a young adult, she's finding herself, and she's and it's really necessary. And if you read The Harvard Wife and you enjoyed it, this is a must read as well, because it actually shed some light into the sequel as well, Oyama's story. We find some of Oyama's issues here as well.
All right, sounds like a great read there. And for those who would like a copy, do contact Busisekile. She is on Facebook, and you can also get the book on any one of the bookstores behind her, Exclusive Books, CNA, etc., etc. Thank you so much for your time and the chat.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for tuning in to everyone who joined us. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure, and good luck with the rest of your writing as well as Lola's Heart, and look forward to chatting to you once again.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Exclusive Abaya Boutique in Durban, Lamia Abaya and Fabric House, specializing in individually sourced designer abaya pieces and unique abaya fabrics, available exclusively for you. Lamia Abaya and Fabric House. Find us at 490 Peter Mokaba Ridge Road, Durban. You deserve only the best.
As winter grips the northern